All right, we're live. Welcome to the RG DFS Tournament Takes podcast, week 6. Is that right, fellas?
Yeah, I'd say that's good.
Yeah, we're here. We're back. It's been 6 weeks. Time flies. My name is Chris Kirkwood. I am your host, also known as Kikdiese. I'm here with my two boys, two very good players at DFS, Brett Hartfield, KillaB 2424 or something. I don't remember. 2482.
Griffey and Murphy.
You'll get this right.
I'm never going to get it right.
Dude, having numbers at the end of your ID is the worst. You know, just say
if you had two of them, I would remember. But it's
right?
4. It's the 4. So, and then I'm here with KillaB and JSURab. How's it going?
It's going good, man. It's going good. Another week. Ready to get into it.
And also a business owner, entrepreneur.
We learned a lot about John pre-show here. And, man, like, didn't realize it, but looks like Khabib. I know we don't have this on video, but geez, guy could just walk around Halloween, throw some USC gloves on.
Yeah, I got this today too when I was at work. So, Brett, you kind of started it, and then, people just started adding on to it after the Fanball show. So, some of my friends caught the show, and then it just kind of spiraled. So
there you go.
Yeah, thank you.
Just trying to get us more fans to, if this was video, we probably have a lot more fans.
Yeah, that's true. It's true.
Yeah, that was a hell of a fight. You guys watch that? I wanted to go outside and just start fighting anybody I saw, like, after watching that.
Yeah, how doesn't Vegas burn down after something like that? Especially you have the Irish and the Russians, like, going nuts, upset about everything. And, yeah, it's like freaking World War III going to happen right there.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't want to be anywhere near Vegas right after that fight. Just no. But I did watch the fight. It was awesome.
Well, if I was going to be in Vegas with anybody during that fight, I'd probably pick you to be by my side. The dude owns a CrossFit gym. He's looks like Khabib, so you could do worse.
Yeah, if you've ever been out like on a UFC night, like where they're showing it at a bar, there's always fights that happen at that bar afterwards. It's never a fun time.
Yeah, and plus you're always talking shit a little bit because you win money or you lose money, and then
because everyone's betting on the fight. Yeah, everyone's betting on the fight, so someone's pissed. You know what I mean? Like someone's upset.
All right. Well, we wasted 5 minutes talking about Khabib. That's good. So now we have 25 minutes left to fill here. All right. So we're here. How'd you guys do? First of all, we'll do this really quickly. How'd you guys do last week? I'll start with KillaB because I know JSU is trying to duck this question.
Yeah, I actually, for the second week in a row, my main lineup, my league and tournament lineup, I had a top 1%er. So it was another really strong week over on FanDuel, which basically – I broke even. I actually had a really small ROI on the other 3 sites, but yeah, FanDuel definitely. I think I just went a lot stronger than the field with James Conner, and then I was able to hit on wide receivers across the industry. I think the Valdez-Scantling really helped me in a lot of spots. I think a lot of people were kind of scared on that situation where him stepping into a wide receiver 2 role. With Rodgers throwing the ball just made me feel more confident. I wasn't really confident in him per se, just more confident in the offense and him getting target share.
I'll take it away so JSU. He's still in mourning from last week. So
no, you know what? I'm not in mourning. All right, Brandon Cooks got crushed. All right, it ruined my soul. He scored a touchdown.
What about Baldwin?
Oh, okay. All right. So my main 2 exposed wide receivers were Brandon Cooks and Doug Baldwin because I was all over Russell Wilson. And I set
that up with Cooper too, or
I said this. No, I did not. I had Cooks literally in like 75% of my lineups, and Doug Baldwin was probably in like 50 or 60% of my lineups. So I got 0 or 1 from both those guys. I still cash some of my GPPs, but definitely, even if I got like 5 or 10 points from each of them, would have cashed way more lineups. But yeah, it was brutal. But what do you?
I've got a sob story. So quickly, I I did well on Yahoo, which was good because I had most of my action there. I had a clean sweep, my cash and GPP line on DraftKings, however. So I do crunch time here at RG, and it's really hard to balance your own lineups
I don't know how you do
and
that.
to do the last half hour of crunch time for people. So I mapped out the perfect cash lineup for DK.
Mm-hmm.
And which I was, waiting on, with the whole MVS news. And so in that one didn't have Baldwin in it, and it had James Conner. And for some reason, I ended up pulling the wrong lineup into my main cash team. So I thought I had James Conner, and I thought I had MVS in my cash line and everything.
Oh, no.
And I realized after lock when James Conner started going off that I didn't have him. So I pulled the wrong lineup, and I had Doug Baldwin in there, and it was just like another build I had from the earlier in the week. And so that messed me up on DK. But my boy Christian Kirk saved me.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. You did call the Kirk at the end of the last show. I gotta say, R.I.P. Matt Breida, Sarabian. You've been all over the Breida train these last 3 weeks, and he's crushed in game, just crushing. And I'm always thinking he's gonna be on to a monster 100-yard game. But then he gets hurt like in the second quarter. So,
I mean, how do you 2 quarters in, he's running for, over 50 yards. He's got a touchdown already and a catching touchdown already. And then all of a sudden just boom, ankle. Like
he was the nuts. He was the nuts if he didn't get hurt.
All right. Enough of the side stories.
Let's fourth thing and show. New week here. It's a tough week. It's really weird here because, so we have like one major outlier game from a total perspective. So obviously we've got that Atlanta Bucks game with the monster total. And then there's quite a difference. The next highest is the Pittsburgh Steelers game against the Bengals, and at least sounds like a couple of us are a little bit lower on that game in general. We don't get to take advantage of this Pats KC game, so we have that one outlier game, and then there's we've had like auto running back plays every week, and it doesn't feel like that this week. One place it does feel pretty obvious is at quarterback position, at least from a cash perspective. And I mean, obviously he's got to be a good play anyway you look at it, cash or GPP, but ownership is tough. But famous Jameis time. Let's start off there. You guys, you have to love this game, right?
Yeah. I mean, just looking at Jameis, it's crazy how much the Buccaneers organization kind of, threw him under the bus, like when he got suspended, kind of, obviously can't be around the team. But I guess they're trying to hype him up big time. They had like a hype video where it's 100% Jameis in the video. So they're 100% backing him, getting his confidence up. So that's a good thing. I really think the only way he doesn't get there this week is if he just has a bad first half showing and he gets yanked. But I don't know. I don't know what the percentage of something like that is happening. I'm going to have exposure to him in every format possible. So.
Yeah, I like Jameis. I don't know if I like him as much as everyone else does. I'm definitely going to be underweight to the field in GPPs especially. But I'll still have some Jameis lineups. Just I don't know. I feel like it's chalk that at 5,800 on DraftKings, I wouldn't mind being underweight too, just because I think Cam Newton at 61, Jared Goff at 6,000, Phillip Rivers at 5,900. We'll talk about that game later, but those are some really good spots to kind of pivot. Matt Ryan, Jameis Winston, probably, I don't know, Andy Dalton might be the 3 chalkiest QBs.
I think chalk this week for Jameis, if I gave you the over-under on 25% in the Millionaire Maker, would you go over or under?
I would say he's right around 23%.
Okay.
Yeah, so right under, but close to that.
What do you think about that, Kirk? 25% over under?
I'd be over. If I'm running a crunch, I'm just assuming that if I'm running a crunch, that I'm getting probably like close to 40% Jameis. Like, like normally like that's like the highest mark like you end up getting is like 40% on a
I think
guy.
he's going to come in 40% owned?
No. I'm just saying that's what I would end up getting.
I got you.
And so therefore I'd be over. I think he's like that strong of a play. So basically it just comes – it's like his pass weapons are all strong plays. So you're going to want to pair that with the QB. So it's just you're going to like an optimal lineup settings are just you're going to get tons of Jameis if you're doing multi lineups here. And it's for good reason. They don't have a running game, right? Like you don't see like Peyton Barber or Ronald Jones really stepping up. Like Jacquizz Rodgers is like a little bit of a revenge game there. Maybe he makes the most sense out of all of these guys, but I mean, whatever. It's basically all about all their pass catching weapons and their bad D. So this is like perfect shootout and like passing, and like Jameis is so cheap here. And I also like that Fitzmagic is had such a good hot start. Like I think it kind of lit a little bit of a fire under Jameis. And not only that, Jameis was like the best quarterback in the preseason. And that's because he had all these weapons. So.
Yeah. One thing too with the running back situation there, I know that like I've heard people kind of talking throughout the week about, who's going to start, Barber, Jones or whatever. In my opinion, I'm not going to touch either of them probably, but like if you are, you don't really know who's going to get the majority of the snaps. Like if you're mass multi-entering lineups, I say you play both and you just mix it up, because I don't think you really have a clue if you want to play a running back against Atlanta. But I would rather just go for the more proven weapons in, Mike Evans, Deshaun Jackson, Cameron Brate, those type of guys. And touch the running backs.
Yeah, I mean, I know there was like a huge Twitter battle on if defenses matter, but like what I care about is what the offenses are actually doing. And in Tampa Bay, it's like it's a three-way backfield. You're really searching hard if you're trying to play a running back versus Atlanta here in this spot. So I think I like plenty of like Tampa Bay exposure here with the wide receivers. I mean, even Adam Humphries at 3,200 is for sure in play with the snap counts that he gets. I know it's a low ADOT, but
he's the slot guy. You always play slot guys against the Falcons. Well, we can play anyone against the Falcons with them missing all these guys. But yeah, I'm right with you. Humphries is so cheap. Like I think he's a phenomenal play.
Yeah, if I was going to go cheap, that'd definitely be the play over the running backs.
Well, I mean, we got the cheap tight end let's discuss here because he looks like he's going to be mega chalk, and then we get a report that O.J. Howard's back at practice, but now it looks like maybe he's probably – I don't know. It's kind of like 50-50, right, like on whether we think O.J. Howard's going to play or not?
Yeah, like, I mean, he can't have too much mobility. I think he's still – is he braced up?
Yep.
Yeah, so he's got a brace. I can't see them unless he's fully back, being a young tight end. Everybody knows the correlation between Jameis and Cameron Brate. What I would love to see is O.J. Howard be active because that should bring the ownership down on Brate. But yeah, if O.J. Howard is inactive, I think I'd be less likely in tournaments to buy Brate. I would probably swerve off that plenty of cheap tight ends that have, just a very similar role in their offense. I mean, Brate's just going to be uber chalk at a spot where I don't think he deserves that percentage ownership. We
do know that Jameis loves going to his tight end. And this is certainly a good matchup, and it's also certainly a week where we don't have a lot of good tight end options, right? We can agree on that.
Yeah, that's the key.
We've got our highest owned is Eric Ebron, who's out now, or probably going to be out, which brings us to Swoop. Swoop, there it is, potentially. What do you think about that play?
I haven't really thought about that play that much. I mean, I guess for a punt, I don't mind it. I probably won't go there, but I get the, what is he, min price on DK? 2,500. What is he?
Yeah, he's 25.
Yeah, I mean, I get the play. I'm probably just going to go more like towards the Njoku route. Guy got 12 targets last game. I think he's turning into kind of Baker Mayfield's kind of security blanket. I mean, him and Landry are going to see, I think, the target share eventually throughout the year that, it's kind of like Antonio Brown, Juju, and, that type of thing where he just kind of hones in on those guys if they get down in situations where they're, a score or two down and, they're playing from behind most of the game. I think he could just start peppering those guys with targets. So I really like Njoku a lot this week.
Yeah, my swerve off, like if I'm completely punting, would be Ryan Griffin for Houston. I mean, he got 9 targets last week. Hasn't really been, a factor in the other games, but 4 red zone targets with them being implied to score 25.5 at home versus Buffalo, should have plenty of red zone opportunities. So I think I'd rather go there at 2,500. And then even CJ Uzoma.
Yeah, that's my guy. That's what I was just going to say, like, that's how tight end is spread out. We all have like a different, like one different play.
I would rather go to the other tight end in that game, Vance McDonald.
Okay.
I think that so like Njoku and McDonald are the 2 guys I've been looking at because McDonald, I don't think people are going to play him after he broke everyone's heart last week, which I didn't really have much exposure to. But I don't know. I think it's kind of a good play to go back. He's a good tight end, in a good offense. It's a pretty good matchup against Cincinnati. I kind of like
that worked out for the Eric Ebron chalk week for 3 weeks ago. Then he comes back and smashes the last 2 weeks. So. And you got Ebron at pretty low ownership. Obviously, he wasn't on the main slate last week. So, but yeah, I guess he was at 25% and then 23% during his chalky weeks. So,
yeah, are you saying to play Ebron?
No, I was saying that theory of after Ebron let everybody down.
Oh, the same Vance McDonald.
Yeah, and then he kind of comes back at lower ownership. So it's there. Like, Vance McDonald was everybody's darling last week. I think that's what helped me too. Especially over on FanDuel, is I paid up to Travis Kelce in certain spots, and that really just gave you a huge leg up on the field to have the Kelce points over Vance McDonald.
Yep. All right, let's dissect the rest of this game. Still stay on this Bucks. Let's stay with the Bucks passer. So Mike Evans, all of us like, right?
Yeah, for sure. Like, gonna have decent, probably right there with the field, maybe a little bit over. But yeah, I've been messing around with stacking this game all different ways. Probably going to be, Julio is going to be the most chalky wide receiver. And I would say Evans, I don't know. Evans has got to be like maybe like the third or fourth highest chalk wide receiver. I don't know. I don't exactly know where he's going to land just because he's $200 more than Julio. And I have Julio projected for more points.
I mean, he's got to be the second or third guy.
Yeah, but they have very similar ceilings. Obviously they have massive, just shares of their offense. So, I want to have like a good 20-25% share of Evans for sure.
Yeah, there's so many like plays here. So like Julio has a great matchup. Okay, like I was saying before the show. So what were you, JSU? You were saying like Julio. I keep thinking no one's going to want to play him, and then everyone keeps playing him. I said, well, I keep thinking I'm never going to play Julio ever again every week. I keep not again. I'm done. Never again. And then I keep going back and I keep going back. And I don't think I can hop off for that. This has to be like the last straw, right? Like this is like finally his price is so cheap. This is like the best matchup. He's got great history. It's in the dome. Like if he doesn't produce here, it's over between me and Julio.
Come on, it's never over.
It's over. Like this is it. This is the last straw. This is like the girlfriend has cheated on you. Like
a jaded boyfriend.
It's over.
Here's the thing, though. I think with Julio, and I think if this was last year, this would have never happened because I feel like Matt Ryan this year, he's not forcing the ball to him as much. He's really just looking for the one-on-one coverage and kind of like targeting that guy. So whoever out of the three receivers or Hooper is getting that like soft coverage or the one-on-one coverage, he is targeting those guys every play. Like he said it, like he's going to find those matchups. So like he doesn't have to like, pepper Julio or throw double at him when he's double covered or safety over the top all the time. So Julio's not getting as many of the chances that he was getting last year, the opportunity. But hopefully this matchup is just such a good matchup. He should be able to, even with, double coverage, he should be able to win on some of these, on some of the plays. So hopefully he can bring it home for us.
Yeah, he's been really good versus Tampa Bay. I mean, like I just think this is a spot where you gotta have some decent ownership in Julio and hope it's his week.
I mean, Brent Grimes, come on.
Right.
Come on.
Grimes like 3 or 4 years ago, yeah, legit. But yeah, he's been rated terribly over at PFF. So,
well, Grimes is going to get a lot of Ridley, is what I'm seeing. But
it's Grimes and who's the other guy they got?
So basically, Mohamed Sanu has the best matchup because he's going to get MJ Stewart.
Yeah, you got Carlton Davis on the outside also.
Carlton Davis. Okay.
So MJ Stewart, he's been targeted once every 4 snaps in coverage. And the reason being is because he allows 2.61 yards per coverage snap, which ranks second most among slot quarterbacks. So basically, he's got the nut matchup, and he's getting decent volume. Sanu, lately. So, what's his price right now?
4,800 on DraftKings.
Yeah, so he's got to still be in play.
For sure. His price did move up. I want to say like 800 because we talked about him last week being in a decent spot. But yeah, it's still like you're going to want exposure to this game in every different way. Sanu is not usually a guy that I have a lot of exposure to, just because it does seem like he doesn't have as high of a ceiling. And it's also just them having another athlete in the offense of being Calvin Ridley. They've never had a number 2 like that with Sanu and Julio. So yeah, it's just a spot that I'm probably going to be under-owned on Sanu overall.
And then, yeah, Ridley has the toughest matchup, but he may get some man coverage here, which he should certainly be able to win that matchup. So, I mean, I guess I'd have to rank. I mean, I want tons of Julio. I'm going back one last time. I like Sanu. I like Hooper. I mean, I like all these passing options.
I feel like Julio and Sanu are going to get most of the ownership. I think Ridley's going to be the guy that kind of gets left, kind of in the dust a little bit ownership-wise. And I feel like that's a spot where I don't mind this week. Last week I was not in on Ridley at all, and I pretty much said that on the pod. I said I was on Sanu and Julio. This week I'm kind of leaning towards going after Ridley and Jones in my stacks and kind of hoping that, like you said, he gets some man coverage and he can beat him.
Yeah, there's definitely going to be a bias of what you did last week. And so, I mean, with Sanu having a touchdown, having, a good game, I think I agree with you there. Ridley, the last 2 weeks was right around the 24-25% range. So yeah, I agree. I think he'll be the cheapest of the owned out of the 3. So, another spot, on the other side of the ball, you look at Godwin and Deshaun Jackson, who have been basically playing similar snaps. Godwin being the younger, athletic guy. Obviously, Deshaun always been able to take the top off the defense. But you look at the price differential between those two, 5,900 on DraftKings for Deshaun and then 4,400 for Godwin. Just makes me think the ownership for Godwin will be, a little bit higher. But man, gonna be tough not to work him in stacks here with that price.
Yeah, I like both of those guys, to be honest with you. It's not rocket science to me with this huge total and like these defenses. I think all of these guys are in play, so I would lie if I say I don't like any of these guys, to be honest with you.
Right, in a spot where Jameis is coming back, I mean, I was kind of looking at like everything that happened last year, and Deshaun never really had a big game. He only had one game over 100 yards, and that was 106 yards. But yeah, those two never really came together last year. So it makes me like Godwin maybe just that much more, or even Brait that much more, just because, I mean, Brait and Winston always had like that going on last year. So I just feel a little bit more confident there. And then the unknown with Godwin,
And it looks like he's going to match Deshaun Jackson will match up with Isaiah Oliver, who's he's only seen 5 targets in coverage, but 2 of those have produced touchdowns. So,
yeah, I'd probably lean more to Deshaun, but I get what you're saying about them really not having a lot of chemistry from last year, great chemistry from last year. They didn't really hook up that much, but I still like Deshaun. His GPP up for GPPs anyways, his upside is really high.
And you got to think they're going to bring it with the bye week,
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, they should all be really fresh for sure.
All right. So what's next? Where's the next spot to attack? Who's got the next game that they like? Either of you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't know where you want to go, John, but like I don't really love the Pittsburgh-Cincinnati game. That's the second highest game. I was looking at this earlier, like what's the best way to veer off? It's going to be tough for me to stack this game because I like the running backs here, both Connor and Mixon, but not so much the wide receivers in that game. Do you want to hit up on what you like in that game, and then we'll kind of just go from there?
Yeah, so honestly, I'm kind of with you in a way where I don't really like a ton. I get that Connor and Mixon, I could see why. I like Connor more than Mixon, but I like Mixon too. I like Juju a little bit. I feel like after last week, people might be a little down on him. So that's a spot where I don't mind going back to a little bit of Juju. But really, besides like that, I love AJ Green. I think he's the best play in the game. I think he's just the best play. It's not even close. He's the pivot for me off of Mike Evans and Julio. So if
I have a completely different take on that.
It's going to be a Joe Hayden take, isn't it?
Joe Hayden, of course.
Oh.
So he looked awesome. Shutting down Julio. He's definitely improving, and he also has shut down AJ Green throughout his entire career. Like literally like the worst stat lines I've ever seen.
Did he shut down Julio though, or did they have help over the top? Like he didn't just shut down Julio.
So I got this. Hayden followed Julio on 29 of 39 routes Sunday. Yeah. Basically had no catches until garbage time, so until the fourth quarter.
Yeah, he was complete. They shadowed him.
I mean, I think it was in the fourth quarter when he got his first catch. So that's pretty crazy. But yeah, 29 of 39, so not a complete shadow.
Yeah, I mean, but that's a shadow.
Yeah. That's basically a shadow in today's NFL.
And so that sets up pretty well for Tyler Boyd, wouldn't you think? If let's say if one doesn't like AJ Green, I mean, basically they have to use Tyler Boyd, right? That's a security blanket.
Yeah. So do you like that price still at 6,000 on DraftKings? I think he's priced where he should be. I mean, he probably should be priced higher based upon his production this year. But yeah, you like the 6,000 price point?
I think it's fine. I think if you take away the fact that, what we were looking at, of this guy before coming into the season, obviously it's tough to swallow when you see that price tag, but basically he's the security blanket. He's getting ridiculous volume. And if AJ Green's going to be shadowed by Joe Hayden, and we believe in Joe Hayden being good again, then it just makes a lot of sense. They don't have many other options. John Ross, who will probably be back, is banged up a little bit, but I mean, who else? And it's Mixon, or it's Uzoma.
The best thing that I can say, like how I like to build my tournament lineups, is just kind of like a pendulum swing. Like I feel like I've bought way too much of Tyler Boyd lately, like where I don't want to buy him now in the future because he's produced. He's now going to be popular, so I wanna find a new guy. And if John Ross is healthy and active, I definitely want to have some exposure there at 3,400. We know just how elite speed this guy is. I mean, just Olympic like speed. So I would love to have him in my lineup, even if he's only playing half the snaps. I think it's a great play in a game that has the second highest total.
I wouldn't mind that at all. I mean, monster upside for a super cheap price if he breaks one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So did you already touch on your favorite tight end play, John?
In this game?
You already said Vance.
Yeah,
right?
you talked about Vance.
We talked about that.
To reiterate that, I like Uzoma.
Mm-hmm.
I think those are the plays here. But okay, so do we have another? I mean, this is the number 2 games. Do we have anyone have a sneaky game?
Yeah, well, I think Cleveland and the Chargers are the sneaky game. I like that game a lot, and I talked about Phillip Rivers kind of being a pivot. At his price, 5,900. The players in that game, Keenan Allen, Melvin Gordon, these guys are going to be severely overlooked. But I think really good plays. I think, Chris, was it you that brought up a stat about Cleveland, about how they were giving up the most points?
Most plays per game, which sets up,
plays per game. Yep. So it sets up real well. Baker Mayfield, I think he's playing better. The game's at home for him, so I like that. I like him at 5,500. I already told you Njoku. Jarvis Landry is, I think, underpriced at 6,600 on DraftKings. I love him. This week he's going to be one of my higher owned wide receivers. So yeah, I think this game has a chance to shoot out.
I like this game. I like a few plays in it, actually. I'm totally on board. So this may be our game unless KillaB comes in and.
No, I'm right there with you. I have a lot marked on this game, but I want to hear what your thoughts first.
So I like that, like you guys said, about the Browns opponents averaging most plays per game. There's the narrative going around about with the West Coast team traveling to the East with Phillip Rivers. I mean, everyone's heard this narrative for years and years and years. So people are going to all talk themselves off. The total is kind of gross. The Browns defense is definitely much improved. So there's a lot of reasons to not like this game. Keenan Allen is the guy, right? He doesn't usually get going until about now. People are kind of writing him off. He's got a good quarterback who loves to target him. He's going to get the production. They're going to talk about Denzel Ward, on Keenan Allen, but Allen will match up with TJ Carey on over half his routes because that's the slot cornerback who's allowed 11 of 15 targets to be completed for like 113 yards over the last 2 weeks. So I get we may want to lower Keenan Allen a little bit from our projection standpoint just because the matchup is somewhat tough. But Browns are also good against the rush. I do like Melvin Gordon, but I'm tempering my expectations here. And I just think that Keenan Allen is going to get going. I think that this is a good spot that nobody's going to be on him. And then my other play here, I think, is that Mike Williams. Now, after two bad weeks after his hot start, people are going to totally forget this guy. But he's going to see EJ Gaines, and he has a major height advantage here in this one. So he was another guy he's got to be dirt cheap still, right?
Yeah, 4,300 on DraftKings.
Yeah, so those are my guys, and I'm going to try to –
actually went up.
He's still dirt. That's fine enough for me. Or what was he, 4,200 last week?
Yeah, 41 or 42, something like that.
Yeah, I think he was tied with Eckler. So those are my takes. And I like Baker Mayfield. I'm interested with him, and I'm totally on board with Jarvis Landry. He would be the guy that I like. And Njoku's going to get there. I don't know if this is the matchup for him, but like I was saying, I have him on every single season-long team that I've done because, like, that's my guy, and I'm just waiting for him to erupt. So I'm on board there a little bit.
Yeah, and Cleveland has, an injury that should open up at least some more plays. No Rashard Higgins this week, so I know we had Coach speak last week that, Callaway wasn't going to get as many snaps, but he still is right at the same level that he's been. Played 55 of 80 snaps last week. Might be forced into a bigger role with no Higgins this week, so I like him at 4,000. Again, super athlete here. I'm kind of on a coin flip between Mike Williams, Tyrell Williams, which one to play each week. So I think having, the same exposure with those two guys because, again, like it seems like their A dots are always deep and, you never know when one's going to get behind the safety and take one for a 50-yard touchdown. So I'll probably have similar exposure there. But I think Jarvis Landry, great spot here. Love him. And Keenan Allen's for sure in a buy at 7,500. He's definitely an 8K wide receiver. So I like everything here. It's just like, exposures again, how exposed you want to be to everybody. I think out of that grouping, I probably like Jarvis Landry the most, being in the slot versus the Chargers. So that's probably where I'll be going. But Njoku, I want to be working in there too. And then quarterback-wise, probably have Baker Mayfield there, but avoiding the running back situation. Gordon at 8,200. Again, talking about a West Coast going east, playing a 1 o'clock game. That's tough for West Coast teams. So I'll probably avoid that.
Yeah, and in his price. But let me temper your expectations with Tyrell, the Gazelle Williams, just because of Denzel Ward. Denzel Ward is not a guy that I like messing with in coverage. So
we don't expect full coverage between both Mike Williams and Tyrell Williams with one specific guy, right? I mean, do they always play one side?
He's going to cover the deep ball. So
okay.
And I don't know. Then it appears like the way it's been in the past is that Mike Williams will get EJ Gaines on the majority of his snaps. So that's just something that I'll throw out there. But I guess Tyrell could always break one, right? Jarvis Landry looks like the only reliable option on the Browns. Do you have any interest in any of the Browns' run game at all?
No.
Hyde's looked legit, but this is not a spot that I think it's going to be more of a matchup-based thing. Chargers have been really good versus running backs on the year. He's just not involved in the pass game as much. So, yeah, I'm avoiding it.
All right.
Yeah.
So, go ahead.
Yeah, they got Corey Leggett back, I think, last week. Is that right? And I think that right there, he's a really good run stopper for the Chargers. So, I'm definitely staying away from the Browns running backs this week, even though
something I didn't bring up too when we were talking about the Pittsburgh Cincinnati game. I mean, obviously it's a divisional game. You got Vontaze Burfict coming back. A lot of bad blood there between these two. In those divisional games, if you've ever done like any research, they usually come on the under, especially the second time playing. So that's just another reason why I'm just don't have a lot of love for that game, especially the prices for the studs. I think they're all overvalued.
All right, so we're running out of time here, so we're going to finish the show up with just a couple of thoughts here. I just want to get your guys' take. I guess we'll just quickly dissect Todd Gurley and his 10K price tag, which is kind of cool to see, actually. Definitely going to lower some of his ownership. And then maybe we'll just give a couple of other plays that we're thinking of. I know we talked before the show about Chris Carson. We also talked about Tariq Cohen. Yeah, anyone else you guys have? But let's get to Gurley quickly. So something that I heard on a podcast that I listened to from Greg Cosell, who breaks down NFL films. He's awesome.
He's really good.
But basically that the 11 personnel data, there's also stuff going around on Twitter on this subject, that the Rams run out of 11 personnel and only run out of 11 personnel. And that means that they have 3 wide receivers on the field at the same time. The Broncos have seen 60 rushes against 11 personnel, have given up over 7 yards per carry. So it just sets up for obviously with the way that Gurley's being used, and he's just a threat in the passing game, a threat for all the rushing game. They can basically just lean on this guy to just crush. It's just, even though he's 10K, we don't have like a bunch of other options. It's pretty interesting to try to jam him in and build some lineups from there. And I think it's doable. We'll see what value opens up, but it's doable with the cheap Jameis at quarterback for sure. At least that helps a little bit. But what are your guys' thoughts?
First off, that's such a money stat too. Like, that's really cool to see, like, just play formations of how offenses and defenses, how efficient they are in those, facing an 11. So I just think, this is just a price point play. You see 10K and it's just like, holy geez. What is this guy going to have to do for him to ruin the slate? Like, I mean, he's going to have to put up 35 points. We are getting snow in Denver. So, that makes you think like, okay, maybe they won't be as high powered of an offense as they normally would be just with a little bit of snow. There's going to be no wind, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. But then you have 2 wide receivers coming off of concussions. I expect both of them to play. We got good news today. They're still limited. But, it's just like they're not practicing. So how involved are they going to be in the game plan? Who knows? This is kind of just a stay away in tournaments. On FanDuel, where Gurley's at 9,500, I think it's a totally different thing. It's way easier to build lineups with him in it. It's just I'm not seeing the value right now to get him in tournaments for DraftKings.
Okay, so this is exactly what everyone is saying. I love it. I love hearing this, because what this is telling me is that what I thought was right, which is everyone's going to see the price on Todd Gurley and just say it's too much. And I get it, but that's why it's such a great play. It's such a great play. This guy should be this matchup, he should be 30% owned. He's going to be like 15 or 20. It's going to be great. You need to have some Todd Gurley. I'm not saying go all in. I'm not saying, if you have 10 lineups or 20 lineups to play him on every single one, but you need to have some Todd Gurley exposure, because your lineup is going to be so different than everyone else's lineup that if everyone else's lineup, which is the chalk build lineup, in my opinion, is going to be pay up for wide receiver, pay down at least 1 running back spot and then 1 mid-level running back, then pay down at tight end and quarterback. So if you have Todd Gurley, your lineup build is going to be so different. If that chalk build falls, you're going to be with like 20 to 25% of lineups, and it's going to be you guys in tournaments fighting it out for like the top spot. So this is why, to me, like, having some Todd Gurley lineups will really differentiate you from the field. If you want to go all in, like, in my opinion, in GPPs, I get it. You know what I mean? It totally fine to me. I would still have at least some exposure to the higher priced wide receivers, getting some Julio in there. But for me, I'm probably going to go 50-50, where I'll have some of the chalk build lineups, and then the other 50%, it'll be Todd Gurley, and then just whatever I can do. I'm going to have to find value somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on board with Gurley. If I can make it, I haven't done enough lineup builds, but if I can make it happen, I'm gonna try. I get where Killer B is coming from as well, but because it's going to take a little creativity to make really strong correlated lineups along with Todd Gurley at his price tag. But Chris Carson, I want your guys' thoughts quickly on that situation, because he looks like a pretty good value for the usage that he's getting in a pretty good matchup against Oakland.
Yeah, I'll let John tackle that. I actually don't have a lot of love for Chris Carson in comparison right now, but I'm kind of waiting on a few injury news, which could change my ownership. But I've built a bunch of lineups, and I don't have any Chris Carson. So, John, I know you were talking about him.
Yeah, so I do have a good amount of Chris Carson right now. I just love the volume he's getting. You know, his past 2 games that he's played in, he's got 32 and 19 carries. And then, you know, he gets, 1 or 2 receptions or 2 targets, 1 or 2 targets a game. But, like, really what Seattle's trying to do is Seattle's just trying to run the football 30 times a game, 35 times a game. Him and Mike Davis. Mike Davis did get some of the workload.
Got a lot of the work. Just the last 2 weeks, Mike Davis 33 carries and 6 targets.
Well, Carson didn't play the last, not this past week, the week before. So let's keep that in mind. And I think too, what happened was last week he was still coming off that injury. So I think Mike Davis, and because Mike Davis ran well, they still gave him some of the snaps. But it's Chris Carson. He's definitely still getting the lead amount of carries. He's the better running back. So I just think it's a great spot. He's 4,400. Guy's going to get around 20 touches. You're 4,400. You're paying for a guy who's going to get 20 touches a game. And Seattle is going to force feed the running back. Russell Wilson is not running the football. He's not going down the field, using his legs anymore. They want to run the football and then set up the play action for the big deep shot. That's their game. That's what they're going to do. I don't think Oakland is going to be able to stop them.
Talk about teams going from west to east. These guys go from West Coast to London. So interesting. I did a little bit of research on just games in London, and there's really nothing that stands out to me. So I just I feel like that just kind of throw that away. Maybe look at when the teams get in. Hopefully they got almost a full week of practice out there. So I haven't looked at any of that, but I know you brought up the narrative of Oakland or Marshawn Lynch playing Seattle. Kind of wish this game was in Seattle or in Oakland. I feel like that narrative would be bigger and maybe a little bit better, but I'm probably not going to buy into that narrative.
I just don't click him in PPR.
Yeah.
But I agree that he's looked better than I've expected. I think I said that last week, but I still won't click him again this week. Last guy I probably will be clicking if he's healthy is Will Fuller. I think Will Fuller is going to break if his hamstring's all right. If he looks like he's going to be able to go, if he does, then he's a guy I want some exposure to. And maybe a little bit of –
he broke his streak last week, right? First game that he started that he didn't get a touchdown.
I'm not worried about that at all. It's all about the fact that Hopkins was going to be swallowed up with White.
Yeah, Tre'Davious White. Yeah, that's actually a really good call. I think you're going to see Fuller at under 5% owned.
Yeah, a lot of people are going to be clicking on Kikdiese too with how many snaps he's getting in the slot. So versus Buffalo, you kind of want to avoid the stud corner in Buffalo. I forget his name.
Tre'Davious White.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, with Kiki being in the slot and, him playing every snap, him being out there, it's crazy. Like he had a bad hamstring. That's why he missed the first 3 weeks. But yeah, seriously playing 90% of the snaps. So you're getting plenty of target share. So I think he's going to be popular. So I don't mind the Will Fuller call there. One other injury that I do want to bring up is Isaiah Crowell hasn't been practicing. And if he is out, I expect Bilal Powell to be just absolute chalk at, let's see, what's his price, at 4,500. So these two kind of split the carries. They put up over 300 yards last week. So if Crowell can't go, I mean, Bilal Powell is going to really change the ownership running back-wise.
I can see that. A guy I do want to play soon is I want to be on Andrew Luck. Like, Andrew Luck looked really pretty good against the Patriots. He didn't have any weapons. And the problem is he just doesn't still have any weapons. T.Y. out. He's got Chester Rogers. And I
like Chester Rogers a little bit this week.
All right.
121 attempts the last 2 weeks. the.
But I feel I want to be on like a big game. I just don't know if he's got. I mean, regardless on how much JSU likes Chester the molester out there, I don't know.
I mean, if Ebron's out, who's going to get the ball?
Yeah, no, I can play. I just don't know if he's going to break a slate. You know what I mean? Like, I can't see them breaking a slate. But, like, I think he's going to break a slate soon. And there's still that narrative about his arm strength and all of that. And so, but I thought he looked pretty damn good.
The Jets' defense is tough, too.
Yeah, I know. So this isn't the week. But, like, it's coming. All right.
And that's something that we could bring up too. Both Ebron and Doyle still aren't practicing for Indianapolis. So that would definitely open up targets to the wide receivers.
Yeah, Chris brought it up. He likes Swoop. That's his guy.
Yeah.
I mean, he's dirt cheap. He caught a touchdown. And
Luck likes throwing to tight ends.
There's nobody. There's nobody else. There's that guy, Pascal.
Seriously, when this happens, when the second or third guy comes in, all I do is go to Player Profiler, look at what he can do, and then just judge how good of a play is based upon like his metrics.
Yep.
I seriously have no idea what Swoop is, but we know what Indy is doing. They're doing a lot of checkdowns. They're involving their tight ends. So yeah, I mean it's always a play, I guess.
All right, I'm going to leave this. Let's wrap this up now because we went way over again. So we're going to get in trouble by Dan Buck again for going way too long. So people, if you're listening, obviously I hope you're doing it at like 1.5x speed on your iPhone or whatever it is. But I want to give a plug to some of the information on RG Premium. This is just out of my own heart here, being real. Ben Gretsch from Yards, he does this column, Yards Per Gretsch. And he also does the Roto Underworld show, game night show on Friday night. Man, his analysis has been blowing me away. That dude is super sharp. Follow him on Twitter. Read what he says. I just wanted to get that out there because, man, he gives some pretty damn good analysis. Have you guys caught anything that he's done?
Yeah, I've caught some stuff. He is sharp. He's definitely gives some great analysis.
I love how he's so calm. Like I caught bits and pieces of the Roto Underworld show. Obviously the personalities there are just
he just like rolls his eyes and doesn't laugh or doesn't. Yeah, and I like that because that's exactly how I would be.
Yeah,
that's exactly how I feel watching the show. And Matt Kelly, is that his name? I don't know the guy.
It's Kelly.
The Podfather. The Podfather. His analysis is good. I think all those guys are good. Like I agree. It takes a couple of weeks to break into him.
He's there for the entertainment. Yes.
Well, he breaks you in, and then you start to appreciate the show in general. But like Ben Gretsch is the dude on that show. Like I would pay whatever to get his analysis. So this is a shame. This is like no one told me to say anything. No one told me to plug this. This is just being real.
Yeah. So I've actually caught most of his stuff over on Fantasy Insiders, like season long stuff. So, but yeah, it's nice to see him kind of work his way over into the DFS side with that yards per catch.
Yep. All right. So we'll catch you next week. This is the RG DFS Tournament Takes podcast. Thanks for listening.
See you.
Later.
Later.